All right, it's me again. Math lesson 8.9, more equal groups and arrays. All we're doing is going to review basically what you did yesterday for your lesson, and we're just going to add to it just a little bit, something that I think you're prepared for. And I think you probably already know it, and we're just going to put it into words and print today. So before I forget, our target for the day is the same as yesterday, even though it's 8.8. We are working on 8.9 today. It's going to be equal groups and arrays, and I can find the total number of objects in an array and write a number model with the answer. Don't forget that an array is the arrangement of objects in rows and columns, and every object has a partner. So remember, we're going to be working with the rows and columns again today, and everyone has to have a partner. That's real important. So it's got to be equal. All right, so in saying that, I need you to get out your math journal and turn to math journal page 212. If you haven't already, there's a couple of things that you're going to need. You're going to need 2 dice or 1 dice, because you're actually going to be playing by yourself today. If we were in class, we would have been playing with partners. But you will need dice, and you will need 36 counters. It can be money, or if you have some math counters at home, you can do that. It could be anything that you can count. It can also be candy if you want it to be, but don't eat your counters until you're finished with your math. So anyway, you get out Math Journal page 212 and make sure that you have your counters and a dice. Pause the video if you need to go get those items. All right, now that you have Math Journal page 212, put TKA at the top of the page, because you are working this page with Miss Foster. And I want you to answer math message just number 1. I'm going to highlight that so that you know. It's just number 1 right now, because I don't want you moving on until I give instruction for the next problems. So answer number 1. I'll give you some time to answer that. It says, write a number story to match the number model 4 plus 4 plus 4 equals 12. Draw a picture of your story. So you can draw your picture over on the side right here, but these lines are for you to write a story. So I'll give you time to do that. All right, now that you have a number story, I wish we would be able to share those with each other. Think that would be kind of funny, but I'm going to share my number story with you. So I am looking at, what if I said I have 3 bags of apples. I was thinking of you, Miss Olivia. And there are 4 apples in each bag. So let's just say Olivia has, Miss Foster has 3 bags of apples. There are 4 apples in each bag. Sarah might try to steal your apples, Olivia, so you might be careful. So I can ask the question, how many apples? Not B. See, even Miss Foster does it. Apples are there in all? Don't forget your question mark. Hope you put your periods. And now I'm going to draw my number model for this. I can draw circles if I want to for apples or X's. It doesn't matter. But how many rows am I going to have? I'm going to have 3. Good job. So 1, 2, 3. And how many are going to be in each row? 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good job. Okay. And there is my number model that matches my picture and my number story. Okay? But one thing I want to show you is that we've been talking about number models, and some of you might be ready for how that number model may look different than an addition story problem, okay? Because when you look at that picture, I'm going to draw that picture right down here. 3 rows, or 3 bags. There are 4 apples in each bag. Some of you might be ready because we call it a 3 by 4 array. Well, if we were in class, I would tell you that by can be substituted with an X. So you could say this is a 3 by 4 array. Does that look familiar to any of you guys? If that was a math problem. So 3 by 4. Some of you've recognized that. That is multiplication, okay? You will get into multiplication next year with Miss Beckett, but we talk about it as by, and we talk about it in rows and number in each row. But if you're ready to have multiplication, you can use both in your number model. You can do the addition one and you can do the multiplication one. But the multiplication one is just the extra. You always have to show Miss Foster the addition one. And what would your answer be? It would be 12. Yep. So 3 times 4 is 12. 3 by 4 array is 12. And we know that 4 plus 4 plus 4 equals 12. So that was just a little extra that I wanted to show you. That is the multiplication that you'll be getting ready for 3rd grade. If you want to include that in your number models today when you practice them, you can do it. But make sure you always put the addition number model. And remember, we always start with our rows. That helps us keep our number model straight if we're all doing the same. So you either count by rows or you're counting by columns. But we've been working on rows and we'll be working on columns later. Okay. All right. So now, going back to your math journal page. Let Miss Foster erase. You're going to have to play a game with yourself. I'm sorry. I wish we were at school. It would be a game that we would be playing at school and partners. But you're going to be playing a game yourself. And the way you play it is you have your dice and you have your counters. Okay? So your first roll that you make on your dice, so when you roll your dice, your first roll is going to tell you how many rolls. Okay, so your first roll equals your rows. Okay, and then when you roll your second, let's do it again. When you roll your second roll, so your second roll is going to be how many in each row. So my first roll was a 6, and then my second roll was a 2, okay? So if I was going to be building an array, I would have how many rows? 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And how many were going to be in each row? 2. So 1, 2, and I'm just going to be matching that all the way down. And so I'm going to be counting my rows, 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2, or the easy way would be 6 plus 6, and my answer would be 12. How would I write that as a number model with addition? I could say 6 plus 6 equals 12, which is your columns, or 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. Let's make sure I don't count too many. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus 2 equals 12. But then how would I write that as if I wanted to with multiplication? Now you don't have to, but if you wanted to. So here's my rows. It's 6, and how many are in each row? 2. So it's a 6 by 2 array. So it could be 6 times 2 equals 12. And then the opposite is true if I was counting my columns. A 2 by 6, which would be 2 times 6 equals 12. Okay, so you're going to practice that at home. I want you to do a few examples at home. You can write it on a whiteboard, or you can do it on just a blank piece of paper. but make sure that mom is checking to make sure that your math is right, okay? So you are going to be rolling, and you can use your counters. So Ms. Foster forgot to use her counters. You can use your counters when you're building. I drew it on my dry erase board, but you can actually take your counters, and you have 6 rows. Ms. Foster, move this piece of paper. You have 6 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and then 2 in each row. So you can draw it, or you can use your counters. Actually, forgot I had mine. And it's the same thing. You're going to be writing out your number model either by columns or by your rows. 2 plus 2 plus 2 all over till you get your 6 sets of 2s and equals 12. Okay? So I want you to pause the video and go do a couple of those. Make sure you're writing those down on a piece of paper or have your dry erase board handy, because that's what you're going to use for problems 2, 3, and 4 in your math journal. All right, now that you're back, the questions that they're going to ask you for numbers 2, 3, and 4 are based off what you practiced at home by rolling your dice. So the questions that they're asking you is to number 2, it says draw the last set of equal groups you and your partner made from counters. So what was the last one that you did? Miss Foster did, my first roll was a 5 and my second roll was a 3. So I would be drawing that, okay? Now, number 3 question says draw the last array or array you or your partner made from counters. Again, another one that you did. And then write a number model for it. Okay, so remember, if you write your number model, you are going to be using addition to show your number model. And if you want to show me the multiplication side, you can do that as well, but that's just optional. You don't have to do that. But this is just showing 2 examples with the number model of one of the examples that you did. If you want to, which I would love it, if you wrote your number model for each one and then you make up a third one. So you would have a total of 3 where you were showing Miss Foster your arrays and you were showing me a number model for the total on that array. All right. So that's what you're going to be doing for your math journal today. And then when you're finished with 212, you are going to go on to ConnectEd, the website, our school math website, and for Everyday Math, and I want you to play Basketball Edition. Unfortunately, if we were in class, we would be playing that within partners, but you will be doing that at home, and it's kind of fun on the computer game, so have some fun with it. I think you have a home link page that you can do, so if you want to do your home link page before you play Basketball Edition, you can do that too. And then you have math journal boxes to complete, which is page 213. So that is your math lesson today. It was kind of short and sweet, but it was just building on the ideas of more equal groups and arrays. And before I forget, let's review what our target was for today, which was I can find the total of objects in an array and write a number model with the answer. And you learned today that your number model can also be multiplication if you want to. You don't have to, but your number model always for 2nd grade has to be an addition number model. And then remember that an array is the arrangement of objects in rows and columns, and every object has a partner. So that is a short and sweet lesson that we have today. That was 8.9. We have the same target as yesterday as 8.A. And don't forget to play your Basketball Edition. And I'll see you on our next math lesson. Bye.